in particular their backcourt and the way their guards have been able to score this year so far?
Yeah, they're off to a great start. Coach White and his staff have done a tremendous job playing above, national expectations. I'm sure not above their own expectations, but they're just so solid in every way. If you look at them from a coach's lens in terms of efficiency across the board, there's just not a lot of areas that they don't play well. They're very similar efficiency-wise, offense and defense, and another good offensive rebounding team. And your coaches talk about this a lot. They know who they are. They know where the ball needs to go and whose hands the ball needs to be in most of the time. And like you mentioned, out front with Taylor and Aquendo, I hope I didn't butcher his name, are very good players. Both having excellent years, and they can score the ball in a variety of ways.
Jackson, why don't we go ahead and get the microphone over to Danny P., or we'll go ahead and do that. Yep.
Well, Coach, I know Saturday was a big emotional win for your guys. Do you think this is something that could springboard into a little run? I know there's no crystal ball involved in any of this, but just talk about how I know you haven't seen the guys yet probably since Saturday, but just talk about what you think it might do.
You would think so. Got a big week, 2 games in a row on the road against 2 very good programs. You never know, but I would think that it would galvanize them and give them confidence that we can beat good teams in this league. Now we've got to prove it away from home, which is obviously much harder to do. But I think the way we played on Saturday, it's something we're going to obviously continue to talk about, but they played for the most part the way we feel this particular team has to play, with second and third opportunities on the glass, playing inside out, being stingy on defense, but still taking care of the basketball and making sure we get a shot attempt so we can actually rebound the ball. You can't rebound turnovers, and we've got to be particular with our shot selection, because the coaches will tell you, bad shots are sometimes, like turnovers, are really hard to defend, and we just don't have a lot of margin for error, if you will. And it's something that we've been talking about for months with our guys. So I just would imagine that they'll have some bounce in their step today. They'll be reinvigorated and hopefully playing with a lot of confidence going into this road week.
Kind of along those lines, I'm sure you wish you could bottle up that 16-3 run that with the things you saw Reed make a corner 3, Shaq made a big 3, guys were playing defense, getting rebounds, putting it back. I don't want to say is it frustrating, but that's the type of play you saw against Marquette in Utah. Guys stepping up and scoring with your defense pretty much being there the whole time. Is there any rhyme or reason, or it's just a matter of simply making shots to make everything else float?
Yeah, we didn't structurally do anything different during that run. It's not like all of a sudden we came up with a certain scheme or a style of play and then, we went away from it. It's just guys made shots, and our defense was still the impetus for that run, because we were getting our hands on the ball, we were forcing turnovers, got us out in transition, and and let's be real, the crowd had a big, was a big difference maker. You could feel the energy, the guys could feel it. They had a little extra bounce in their step. The vibe was off the charts, and it was a big reason why we were able to, overcome the deficit that we had managed to find ourselves in.
Coach, against the good front court that Georgia has, how do you guys try to limit offensive rebounds and second chance opportunities for them?
Yeah, they're great at it. I watched the Auburn game, and that was. I'm not saying their best offense, but certainly a big percentage of how they scored against Auburn was just the putbacks, the direct putbacks, or even just, securing the offensive rebound and deflating the defense and making them guard again back to back. They're really good at it. We pride ourselves on it as well. And defensively, if I had to say the one area that we're most disappointed with would be defensive rebounding. It just befuddles the heck out of me and my staff. It's something that we've preached since we've arrived, and I've done a poor job of conditioning them mentally and physically to be able to do what it is required to be a good defensive rebounding team. And it's something that, we're going to continue to try to figure out a method to get everyone on the same page, because if we don't, it'll continue to haunt us, and it'll, we won't win the game on Wednesday if we allow Georgia to have a bunch of offensive rebounds.
Paul, go ahead.
We talked about this last week, but Rams seemed to make some plays late the other night. I guess you saw, it feels like he's in getting better condition.
I think so. I can't speak for him. It'd be a big bonus for us if he could play at maximum output all the time. Because, I felt all along since he arrived, since I got to work with him, that he would be one of our best players. In the fall, he was relentless on the ball, pushing the ball, making athletic plays for himself, for others. And, he just got that injury early and has a couple nice games, but it's just hard to go weeks without practicing and then play your best on game day. People do it across the country each and every year, but it's a tough task, and you're bound to get out of shape. And then we had the break, and we came back, and now I think he's pretty much 100% with his ankle, and it definitely was a lingering injury. And he's starting to run harder in practice, and we left him out there against Tennessee to try to get him in some better game shape, and we're doing what we can to get him to be able to play at the level he needs to play for us.
Do you think that affect? You think him, as aggressive as he was in the paint early in the season, you think that has affected him being explosive in the paint like he was early on?
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Obviously, I should know him, pretty well by now, and with practice video and live in practice and game video. Every player is different when they're fresh, but with Rams, there's been a bigger drop-off than here I would like. And so he's got to be able to, find some mental toughness and bear down even when he's fatigued. And, we've got to do a good job of noticing when, he's not playing at the level that he needs to play at, and he can't afford to coast and conserve. He's got to, know that his body will recover, and know that, he can give us a fist at any time, which all of our players know that. But when he's playing, with his motor revved on both ends of the floor, in my opinion, we're a completely different basketball team.
Danny P.
Coach, for those of us that don't really remember a whole lot about what Will did at New Mexico State, was that little stretch that he had Saturday more what you saw when you were together out there?
Will was never a leading scorer, a leading rebounder, a leading minute guy for us. He started a bunch of games for us his last year, but he wasn't, a pivotal guy in terms of, scoring the basketball or anything like that, or lead us in any category for that matter. But we felt like he had improved so much from year to year, and he had actually played his best against bigger guys, in the league that we were in. We didn't see that kind of body each and every night, but he'd always played well, and that's, happens to a lot of guys that are built like that. But, that was one of the better games that I remember him having. If you look at production, certainly he's had good games when, the fans or the media may not think that he did because it doesn't show up in the stat sheet. But from a coaching perspective, he's had plenty of games where he was very productive with his coverage, with his execution, even though he wasn't the passer or the scorer. But Saturday, the numbers, spoke for themselves, and he was in a big spot. Tolu plagued with the foul issues that he was. He was the next man up and handled it very well. And, he's such a good communicator for us. He communicates so well every single day, and that's one thing that, he can hang his hat on, and our players know that he knows what's going on. Even though he doesn't do it perfectly all the time, he knows what he should be doing, and he really helps us on a daily basis with things like that.
All right, thank you, guys. Oh, we'll go back to David. Let's get it back to David.
Sorry. I was noticing in the game that of the 28 players in the roster of the day, 14 were transfers from other colleges.
I'm sorry, you have to start over.
On the game the other day, Ole Miss and State, 28, 14 of them were transfers from other colleges total. Kind of an off-the-wall question. Is there enough material now to start putting scouting reports together, or how much more difficult does it make scouting when you don't have the continuity from year to year on rosters and see teams over time?
I don't think it makes it that much more difficult with the access that we have in this day and age to video of high school players, of transfers. You know, earlier in the season, it's a little more difficult for everybody because, you know, people don't show their whole playbook or, you know, how they're going to defend you every which way. But at this point, which is basically midway through the season, certainly you're going to see things as you go forward that you don't see on tape because people are always trying to tweak what they do and give you a surprise here or there. But I would say for the most part, people are settled into how they think they need to play. And in terms of scouting reports for individual players, like I said, there's just so much access to video, and you're able to hone in on, you know, their strengths and weaknesses. But it's where college basketball is. You know, I don't go out and seek out that information, but I mean, I would say that, you know, that's pretty normal in this day and age for roster makeup across the country.